하나님 아버지께서 이렇게 우리를 사랑하셔서 좋은 곳에 살게 할 수 있게 하신 은혜를 대단히 감사하며 하나님의 아버지와 예수 그리스도와 그의 하시는 것에 대하여 가르쳐 주신 것을 감사하고 특히 가족을 주셔서 가족이 평화롭게 살 수 있는 것을 대단히 감사합니다.
The roots of his testimony began growing in Korea.
Testimony is comes unknowingly, you know. How does it come? You don't know. But I was a little bit different. This, I am not thinking of it, but maybe my parents' influence might be encouraged me.
His parents began influencing him in June of 1937, when he was born in Manchuria, a once autonomous country near China. Oh Ki was the oldest of their 7 children, born to Oh Sa-ung Eon and Kwon Chun-young. 3 of his siblings became ill and died very young.
Japanese were invading to China. Around that time, my father was a civil engineering. He was. So he was assigned to Manchuria to find the road or the bridge or something like that. We went up to the farthest to the Mongolia. And Mongolia is, the weather is terrible. And one night we have a mountain in the same town. All the sands come and the one town in one mountain is made by the Mongolia area, and we lived there. But it was a very fun area.
For fun, he and his siblings would dig for potatoes in the large fields where they were living under Japanese rule. The people living in his hometown were very poor. It was a small country village in North Gyeongsangbuk province called Uisong.
I am a Korean, and they Japanese. All schools are Japanese. And there was one problem. The Korean can go to the Japanese. But happened to I was fluent in Japanese, and my father was he was very poor family.
He was poor but smart and educated. At a young age, his father followed a relative to Japan, where he could also study.
He always behind me and asked me to do right things, and always he disciplined me and do good things, but not just that laissez-faire type of attitude. Always he asked us to discipline and go to bed early and be kind to others.
His dad's discipline and hard work were noticed by his mother's parents. They selected him to marry their daughter.
She just finished middle school, but even middle school finishing is high as a Korean under the Korea Japanese regime. They always gave me good food, and she also, the discipline is high to me, and if I eat my candy or so. And as a child, my mother goes out, we just sneak into the high place and store candy or so and ate it. Then she disciplined me highly, something like that.
When Kei was 3, on March 3rd in 1940, Ki Young-ah was born in Xinqiang, China, to Kim Jong-soo and An Bok-soo, the youngest of their 5 children.
My father, he was a banker. So if he stayed in Korea, he had to go to surgery or whatever. Most of people died, killed. So my husband, he studied, my father, he studied in Japan. He's now in maybe college or university anyway. And then that time his friend or 5 or 6, they studied in Japan. And then they didn't come to Korea. They went to China.
Months before she came into this world, her mother discovered her husband had a second family in China, one with a much younger, prettier wife.
He was very, very handsome. I told you. We have a picture. I don't know where it is. Yeah. And many women like my brother, my father.
His deception devastated her mother, and as a young girl, Kyung-ah watched her mother turn to alcohol to numb her pain, and she began to sing.
주 하나님 지으신 모든 세계 내 마음 속에 그리워 볼 때.
She would sing weekly for a gathering of her father's friends until 1945, when World War II ended the reign of Japan over Korea. When she was 5, her family moved to Seoul as the power of the United States swept through South Korea, and the Soviets' communist rule empowered the northern part of Korea, effectively dividing the country on the brink of the Cold War. During this time, Keihi's family also made their way back to Korea, and in 1949, they moved to the southern tip of the Korean peninsula known as Busan, the safest place to be a year later when North Korea invaded the South, starting the Korean War, which trapped Kyung-ah's family in Seoul, the city where her father worked.
Very scared. One thing is many Korean people, they went to South Korea. But our family, only our family, we couldn't, because my older brother, he was 19 years old. My sister, 17 years old. My second sister, 15 years old. My brother, 13 years old. I am 10 years old. And then North Korean people down, they want to men because they take or fighting, something, whatever. So everybody ran away. My older brother, he was scared too. So whatever my mother said is, he comes at nighttime, 10 o'clock. And then morning, 5 o'clock, he go to mountain. Run away, hiding. Almost 2 months he did. Because still Korean is North Korean, South Korean fighting. So my mother, she was very scared. They are looking for men. They want to take men, So only my brother, he is hiding mountain. They watching, North Korean people, they watched my house. And then they cut or they saw my brother. And then they take him right away. We didn't know that. So, and one neighbor, they said they take him. Yeah. And then my mother said, we have to run away. If we are here, my sister is that time 17 years old. My second sister, 15, they take our sister, the nurse. You understand? So we run away around, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. So my mother said take 2 clothes. One wear, one change. So each person shoulder, shoulder bag or whatever, So most of small one, this size, exactly this size.
Yeah.
So underwear, two socks, and then everything two. And then run away around 3 o'clock in the morning.
They ran for safety under the cover of darkness, not knowing for years what became of her brother.
So daytime walk and the nighttime sleep. Is all house is empty. Everybody down Busan. Because nice house, usually we sleep the nice house, best one, you know. And then because there is food there, rice is there, you know, most of it food is there. So my mother is always a clean person, very, very clean person. So we have to nighttime we have to shower, you know. And then my mother, she cleaned her clothes, you know. And then everybody said, "Oh, so clean children," or something like that, you know. I'm youngest, so I'm middle. My sister, older one, my brother there, you know, and then my mother last. They helped me, you know. And then we are almost 2 months walk. 2 months, 1 month, I don't remember. So most of it mountain. But one thing is that there is no animal at all. No lion, you understand? No tiger. They are all run away. So that's why that was lucky.
Blessings came in the form of help along the way.
Everybody nice. All Korean people nice. We walk in, you know, my mother, she decide the house, and then somebody bring food for our family.
A harrowing journey that ended when they made it safely to Busan, behind a defensive line being held by American soldiers. And by this time, Kei was in junior high school, and many Koreans wanted to learn the language the troops spoke. Friends asked Kei to come along as they met with the GIs to study English.
GIs, "Oh, why don't you come in? Let's talk." So why not? Let's go. We don't know English at all. It was very impressive atmosphere, very clean and neat and well disciplined. And I got a good impression. And then, would you come next Sunday again? So we said, why not? We just want to know the English. So they asked us that, would you come to attend the church service, and we will continue about the Book of Mormon study, and so we cannot deny, you know. So I said, okay, let's go. And then every Sunday comes, he go to the separate room and talk about Book of Mormon and Nephi. We thought that the Nephi is not familiar with us because only we know the Bible. So Abraham or Isaac or something, those names are familiar, but never heard about Nephi or so. So one day I came home and to study the Book of Mormon by myself. I checked all around the Nephi, but I can never find the Nephi in the Bible. You know, where is Nephi? And they said, oh, this book is different from the Bible. And then in 1957 or so, in Japan, the Far Eastern Mission, and their missionaries came. I was attracted to their life. So I decided I would like to be converted.
Kei became a believer, and he was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at dawn in the sea north of Busan in March of 1955. A year later, he graduated high school and immediately began serving the requisite 2 years in the Army. During this time, Ki Young-ah was singing often in her Presbyterian church. They would pay for her talent with the food her family needed after her father passed away when she was 15 years old, leaving her family destitute. His other wife, more cunning, secured most of his money. The following years were tough, but Ki Young-ah battled through them, graduating from high school in 1958.
I graduate, what should I do? Everybody said, oh, I'm going to United States. That time the United States is, America is goal. Everybody wants to go. But I don't like that to go to, because I like to live with my family.
Wanting to stay close to her aunt, she took a year off after graduating before she began college. During this time, her brother asked her to go with him to the Mormon church to also learn English from the soldiers.
So my elder sister, go. You go to there, you believe God, and then you learn English. Point is English. All same, all students. My brother joined 2 years old, 2 years, or sometimes he said, oh, Kyung-ah, how about you sing all the time, school, how about can you sing my church? I said, oh, Mormon, I don't like it. So I said, no, don't think about the Mormon, just sing. Yeah, just sing. If you sing over there, I give you money, something like that. So I said, okay, why not? And then about that time, 500 people was there, and from Utah came to there, something like that. And then many sisters, they came to me, oh, your voice is beautiful, or something like that. How about you joined our church, something like that. So I said, no, I'm Presbyterian church, and then I'm solo, and then I cannot do that. So they said something like that. And almost 2 years, my brother tried. And then finally, my mother said, go to Mormon church.
She became a member of the church at a time when her powerful voice paved the way for her to attend a prestigious college, Seoul Yonsei University, the same place her husband also attended. She began her major in classical voice there.
Well, I didn't study, but my voice is a natural voice. So I'm singing many places at the church or whatever. And then I graduate, and then I went to college, Yonsei University, and then voice, vocal side. And then I didn't study because that time in the Yonsei University, each department they pick up free, give a scholarship. So I was that time scholarship, and then I did the examination.
Music. She'll tell you she can't do anything else. She can't cook. She can't decorate. She can't put clothes together. But she can sing.
I like to sing at church, but I don't like to go to opera, something like that, drama or whatever, and kissing or something. I hate that. So I was a very, very quiet person. My name is Quiet Girl. And then one day, is a principal, or what is it, 학장, high position, he called me. Why you didn't try that? She said, I don't like it, hug me, and something like that. He said, you have to do that. If you want to singer, famous singer, you have to do anything you want. Many, many people, they want to do that. But your voice is beautiful. All professors, they decide me. They didn't ask me. I said, I have to ask my parents or whatever, my sisters. And my sister said, why you do not do that? Why did you go to school? Whatever, something like that, do that, And then I did Amarian Night Visitor. So after that, I did the Madame Butterfly.
She was plucked by at the time, the world, like a really famous voice professor at the University of Washington. And apparently there would be people just huddled. She'd come out of the practice room and there were just women, or not women, but just students huddled around her because she was so good. That's how good she was. I was old enough to see her do Madame Butterfly for her master's thesis. And to this day, I love opera. Love opera. Hated it when I was a kid because I thought it was so, and all my friends, grew up on Simon and Garfunkel or whatever it was that parents listened to. I grew up on opera.
While singing in college, she made the fateful decision at 21 years old to attend a tithing settlement at church where Kehi was a counselor in the branch presidency.
She was different from other girl.
I can see him. He's seeing me too.
Attitude was very good, so I give her attention a little bit differently. But in the tithing settlement, she said that when I decided the first decision, why should I change? So that answer was very effective to me, and she seems to be different. And then I give attention.
I didn't like him because he's just a quiet person. He doesn't talk, very quiet. But I like something activity person. My family like him. Very nice man, very faithful, and he's very rich. Yeah, and then why not? My sisters be better than me. They like him.
This is personal thing. So much I don't say.
My brother said, "You want to go to America, isn't it?" He said. So I said, "Yeah. Why?" Because brother, he go to United States. So think about that. So a little bit I'm changed. So okay, I will change. I'm thinking, and then whole family look at me, and then his mother said, "Oh, you are Kyung-ah?" So I said, "Yes." "Oh, I'm Kehi mother." His name Kehi.
Yeah.
Kehi mother. "Oh, you graduate," something like that. They are very nice to me. So I didn't know that, what's going on, So I said, "Yes, thank you." And then they are gone. I came home because I told my brother said, so brother all like you, and then brother all he go to when United States study. So if you want to study singing, if you want to, how about get married? How about you? So I said, okay, I'm thinking, because he is a nice person, humble person, very strong face, everything is good, rich person, family is very rich. Nothing I cannot say no,
Instead, she said yes before Kehi left for Provo, Utah in 1967 to study at Brigham Young University. They wrote letters for 2 years until they were married by proxy in 1969 in Korea. A close friend of Kehi's stood in for him while Ki Young-ah became his wife. They had to be legally married for her to be allowed by the American government to join him in the United States. When she arrived in Utah, they were sealed in the Salt Lake Temple for time and all eternity. Kehi graduated, and they went to Las Vegas for the summer to make good money working as bussers in the casinos. In 1970, they moved to Seattle, Washington for him to begin his PhD program in education at the University of Washington.
My father disciplined me that I was good in grades, so I was in a kind of a top level, so teachers regarded me differently.
On September 24th, 1970, their first child, Rachel, was born.
So cute. Yeah, so cute. But I don't know how to do that, change diaper or whatever. But I tried, best mother.
I'll never forget I was trying to figure out my career. They wanted me to go to law school. I didn't feel like I should go to law school. They wanted me to go to med school. I definitely didn't want to go to med school. So I was trying to figure out my life. It took me a little bit. But I remember my mother saying to me, you can do anything you want. Do you really think you can't do? You can do anything. I'll never forget her saying that to me.
She was born in the smallest girl in a hospital. I think 10, 12 child came in that morning, and she was the smallest, very smallest child, and she was only the sleeping girl. She slept all the time, and I worried about this is my father is because the daddy is the father. Was that she was very lovely to me, and when she grew up, she was the smallest, and all the time he was sleeping, but she's a little bit talky, and she's quite involved in many places. Oh, gee, I don't know, but and she grew up very well, I guess. I don't want to boast.
He's the most humble man too you'll ever meet. Every night, never fail, he would always come into my room and he would tuck me in like a cocoon, and he was always flip my pillow over so that it was cooler. And he still does that to this day. I mean, I remind them I'm 50 years old and they still treat me like I'm a kid. But my father is just, you know, we never have like these long conversations, but he's just always there. He sends me, up until recently, I probably have, I don't know, maybe 500 postcards from my father, and they always have scriptures on them, and he's all about wearing a vest. Have a pillow, wear a vest, and have a book. And he probably sent me 2 or 3 of those postcards a week. He recently stopped, and the only reason why I think he stopped is because his dialysis is so progressed now, so he's like a lot weaker.
Rachel, she's a very nice girl, just like a father. Very nice. And Rachel was smart. So Rachel was 4th grade, 5th grade, I don't remember. It was a top. Usually most of us, she was almost top, you know. And then she sings very well, just like me. The other children do not. But Rachel is a very good singer. And then always many girls like her. She likes American food. We don't have to worry about her.
I like her, yeah.
Kehi graduated with his PhD in education and began teaching refugees English as a bilingual teacher in the Seattle School District.
Love, unconditional love, sacrifice. He was, I think my mom probably talked about it, but he was offered a deanship at a small college in Korea, and that was always what he was supposed to go do. And in Korea, if you've become like a professor or whatever, your life is set. Like lifetime pension, they give you a home, you have immediate status. That was always the plan. And his really good friend had a position waiting for him. And my parents said they prayed about it, and we were older by then. I think I was 7 when my father finished his PhD, and they felt strongly impressed to stay. My mother's pretty sure she stayed for the children. And life was hard. We kind of grew up, we had some hard things, mainly just because, you know, immigrant families, so no different than I think a lot of immigrant families, but we had a good life. I mean, sure, communication was hard here and there, but we were raised in the church, really great ward, really great friends, and all the hardships that we had, I think, made us who we are today. But my father sacrificed his career, I guess, for us, and that must have been heaven's plan.
A heavenly plan which included sending their son Eric to them on September 13th, 1974.
My son is very quiet, but he likes sports. So he joined the football.
My Eric case, he was born strong.
My dad has always been extremely faithful and committed to the things that he believes in, particularly the church. He always served. He was super home teacher. I remember him pulling me around and home teaching people that didn't want to even see him. And so that's where I just remember him being completely committed and faithful to God. And then to my mom, so to his marriage, and to his kids, even though I grew up most of my life feeling like I didn't have a dad or a mom, I knew that they loved me.
Before graduate to high school, he was number one. So what do you say that he is the best one? He's a very quiet person, just like my husband. And he's very popular. In the high school, when he was in high school, he was top. Because of football, I don't know, he played with many girls like him.
A year later, this busy mother began her graduate studies in vocal performance at the University of Washington, where she studied under the revered Mrs. Verna.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made.
She graduated and she created the Korean Music Association in Seattle, a group that brought together many talented musicians to put on a yearly concert.
Second one is this one. And that time I was a graduate student.
And she was always the headliner.
Harmony, when did you wear this one?
This one,
Ooh, I love this one, Harmony. When did you wear this?
because every year I cannot wear the same color. So that's why maybe this one, red color, but I don't know what year.
Oh, this one looks like a princess ball gown.
But most of it I do not wear the only sleeve. This one, because I like it with sleeve. But my members, they said, 선배님 뭐라 그러지? I'm 선배, younger singers, they said, why you always with sleeve? Singers, we do not wear the sleeve. Kind of this one, please. They, begged. Okay, I tried that, but I am older than you, getting old, so I'm a little bit ashamed, but okay, I wear. That's why I wear this one. Thy power throughout the universe displays, dancing my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art!
When she wasn't singing, she helped to support her young family by using her fingers to sew for extra money. On June 18, 1977, their youngest Miriam came to complete their family.
Her problem is passing. I don't know.
Miriam is shy. She doesn't talk too much, quiet. So we worried very much. She doesn't talk all the way, but very quiet or something like that. But now look at that. She talks very well, and now is a good wife.
When I was really young, I was in Brownies, and it's the only year I did Girl Scouts of any kind. And they always have the moms of the kids take turns each week coming to the meeting, and they help. And so I don't know how my mom knew, because she worked all the time. She was very busy, but I think she if I remember right, she dropped me off, and I think I mentioned, oh, I think it's your week.
But I did always just assume she wasn't gonna be there because she's just busy. And she said, she was like, oh. And she like put the car in park and came in. And like, she helped. You know, we were working on this Christmas craft, and it was like these little felt Christmas trees that we decorated with little gems and things like that. And she was just busy helping all the girls put their little trees, little ornaments. We were making ornaments, and you know, she helped put their little trees together. And I just remember thinking, wow, that's so great. But it's just this memory that stands out just because I think, I don't know, like for this one moment, she felt like she needed to and wanted to be there.
Miriam special. She was like a little bit sporty. She was quite fast, and she was a high jump. And I was surprised one day as the principal called me, oh, she was excellent. So I said, what accident? She was high jumping, and she was fall down and out of what is melt? It's pavement. She was fall down outside of the melt, and she must come. So I said, I did not know she was doing any high jumping or not. Then I went there. She was affected, and she had the brain some. So I took her to the doctor immediately, and then doctor X-ray or so. And it's not much problem, but then I knew that it was third year her elementary school level. She was high jumping. She was high jumping, but like this. You know, jumping is usually like this, you know. But she was a backside. She was very high.
There was a period of time when, you know, Rachel was gone at school. Eric was always at like sports or school. He was just getting really busy. So it was just me and my dad. Like my mom, I think, was either working. My mom was either working or she was out of town working. And my dad and I just became really good buddies. Like everywhere he went, I went. And I could just tell that he really enjoyed it, and I loved going with him. And we just did everything together. And I just remember this short period of time, you know, probably before I hit middle school and kind of became too cool for my dad, where we just did everything together. And we were like just buddies. And it was just, I don't know, such a sweet time when I think about it. And I miss it, and I'm sad that I let it die.
Memories were made, some good, some not so good, like when they invested in the local Burger Bay Drive-In. It was a business venture that required all of them to pitch in and work hard. They eventually sold the business as their children grew up.
Dad was the worst driver, would we agree?
Uh-huh.
So we were going the wrong way on a road. It was a one-way, you know, all the one-ways in Seattle, and Eric and I were so then this policeman stopped us, and Eric and I were so embarrassed, we were hiding in the back seat on the floor. Do you remember this? I was on one side, and the guy was like, so sir, did you know this is a one-way? And Daddy's like, oh.
Yeah, it's a wonderful
And
story.
Eric and I were hiding in the back. That happened all the time. I can't tell you how many times the policeman would stop us and we would like hide. You don't remember this, Eric? We were little. You were little. Anyway.
They married.
Minnie, do you remember when you guys went to Korea to go to the temple? And we had to
Mission.
clean out your house. Do you remember
Mission.
that?
Do you remember? 기억나? 미션 갈 때?
I did.
Do you remember all the stuff we threw away in your house? All the food?
Baby.
You forgot about that? You were very angry. Yes. It was Eric's fault.
Did I throw it away?
Yeah, we went to the dump together.
We threw everything away.
That's the only reason why that stuff got so
Always I'm at home. So I'm saving or something like that.
Yeah, you saved too much. Remember 김정기?
I know.
엄마 방에
I
김정기?
know.
Do you guys remember when we moved into your house, when we came up to Seattle? What do you remember about that experience?
I ate too much. Yeah,
You ate too much?
Yeah. She brought lots of us.
Oh, lots of Costco trips?
Yeah. And then watermelon, and I ate some watermelon.
And soon the grandchildren came.
Harmony, do you remember on Bodhi's baptism when we both sang Gethsemane?
Yeah.
You sang so good.
So good.
And Bodhi, did you?
No, I did. I
No,
sang.
it was Harmony. It was Harmony. Yeah. Harmony, remember that time when we used to have dinner with you on Harmony on Sundays?
Exactly.
Wait, remember when we went out with the bug catcher and we would always catch those bugs
Sure,
out there?
yeah. So clearly I remember. Remember?
Do you remember that time when I used to have the squishy thing that I ran over you and you're like, ah!
I have so trouble that I cried, and then the neighbors came out, and what happened? I said, well, my favorite thing is to cry. So I tried, oh no, Rachel. I want to become a good status in my family as a grandpa, so I want to become a highly influential grandpa.
Favorite memory of Grandpa is we were eating dinner. I think it was for my birthday, I'm not sure. But we were eating, and I used to have this thing where every time I got food in my mouth, I wipe out my arm. And I look up and he's like, no, like this. He grabs a napkin, wipes his mouth. I'm like, okay. A little bit later, I look up and he's just wiping ketchup on his face like that. I'm like, oh, thanks, Grandpa, you hypocrite.
He used to take me out to get the mail when I was 5 years old, when he used to babysit me.
Yeah, why was that so fun?
Because I got to unlock the mailbox and that I got to carry it home.
He's always really nice, and he always cares, and he's always he's always so surprised when you do something well or something. He's I don't know.
My favorite memory of Hodabaji is probably he likes to write us cards, and he writes me a card almost every day, and I love going to check the mail and see what I got from him that day. And he always reminds me of this one time that I bore my testimony at a church in Utah, and he always talks about how much that touched him. And I love how he always has scriptures on every card, and it always makes me so happy when I get them.
And their grandmother?
My favorite memory of Harmony is probably just her, how nurturing she is. Whenever I'm sick, she always has a magical tea to try and heal me. And she also, I love seeing her cook because it always makes me so happy, seeing her do what she loves. And whenever I hear her singing, it always makes me have a big smile. And also, we once sang at my brother's baptism, Gethsemane, together, and that was really great. She makes me kimbap and some fried rice all the time, which is some of my favorite Korean foods.
My favorite memory about Harmony was she would always, when I was little, she would carry me on her back and sing this song. She would carry me on her back with this blanket super tight on my back, and she would sing this song to me.
아카바카 칭칭 저저저 연세 유니버시티 빅토리 연세 유니버시티 빅토리.
No, I said that. Mia, victory, Mia. One, victory. 아카라카 칭칭 쳐 시즌 back. Yeah.
It was during the winter, and we're here and I was like sick, and I was just on the couch, and she was like forcing ginseng. It's like this like Asian root that she like told me a story like kings used to like drink it, and it was like a luxury, and it had like medicinal properties. Medicinal, yeah, properties, and she forced like 50 cups down my throat, and like it actually helped. But then like later that night, I was like puking it all out, and it was it was bad, but it was fun because it showed she cared, and it actually did help me after the vomit. But yeah,
she had laid out a bunch of newspaper on the ground. I was probably 4 or 5, but I remember it. And the TV was on, but we were in the living room on the carpet. She laid out all this newspaper, and she put out this electric fry pan, but it was kind of like, but you put oil in it. So she had hot oil in the middle of the living room, and she was dipping octopus into this batter and making like Japanese tempura and frying it up. And just, she would cook it, let it cool down, and then she would just pick it up with chopsticks, dip it, and just put it in my mouth. And I just remember just sitting there with her while she was cooking, and we were just, just together. And the way she looked at me when she would feed me, is always, just the way she looked at me just was like this, always a good moment for us. I just knew she cared about me, and it was just the way she looked at me. And just a lot of times when she would like spoon her rice and feed it to me, and it was just with such care and love. And I don't know, it's always those kind of moments, because she was so busy, it feels like those were our, really few intimate moments where it was just me and her. And I just knew, I felt that love from her. My dad he's such a kind person, very sweet and soft, but he's never been one to start with a hug or go for, a kiss on the cheek or anything like that. And I know a lot of that's culture, but I would say that he's always good for a nice, like, kind of tap, but not like a tap with your finger, more like a nice pat and like a nice kind smile or grin. I don't know if you can explain it like that, but I know that I just grown accustomed to the fact that he doesn't necessarily say I love you, but he does show that he loves me in the way that he looks at me, and the way every once in a while I just get this kind of like loving pat type of thing. And for a lot of people that might not be enough, but for me that's always been just what I needed.
And sometimes what they needed was an adventure.
We had this really old station wagon, and he'd lay out the back, and he'd put pillows and blankets and things. And so Eric, Miriam, and I, we just ride laying down. God, back then you didn't have iPads or TV, phones or anything. So I don't remember what we did. I think we like tumbled around in the back, probably. But vacation with my parents is always fun. My dad loves seeing new things.
Do you remember the Christmas tree story?
I don't remember. I just remember it fell off.
It fell off.
I remember we went to Chubby
and Tubby, which had the cheapest trees. They were $5. And they looked worse than the Charlie Brown tree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was so upset because I didn't want a Charlie Brown tree, but we had to have a tree. And then Dad, the guy at Chubby Tubby says, "Oh, sir, you should probably tie that to your car." And Daddy was like, "Oh, no. It's less than a mile. We'll be fine."
We're very close. And he just put it on top, and we all got in.
Yeah.
And then there's that hill. And of course, on the hill, it dropped off.
And we get home, we all get out and look at the top, and
then people kept running over it.
It's like, where's the Christmas tree?
Here is the
So
Christmas
Dad's
tree.
like, I'll go back and get it. I was like, no, go get a new one.
Oh.
And he's like, no. And so we brought it back, and luckily only one side of it was bad, and so then we put that side to the wall. and then decorated it.
No, and then I was so upset. I told Mom, and Mom let us go buy a $30 Christmas tree.
I remember. It was just
No, we bought a $30 Christmas tree. She let me buy a $30 Christmas tree.
They were an immigrant family who found their identity in the gospel of Jesus Christ.
So they are all Mormon, main Mormon. So that's why I am happy. You understand? That is important. If they are Mormon, I don't have to worry about.
And God's hands were in the reunifying of this sister with her long-lost brother. In 2016, when the North Korean government, in cooperation with the International Red Cross, allowed families from both the North and the South to see each other again after many decades, this sister traveled there after hearing her brother was still alive.
He was very handsome, my brother. He's a very nice man. Dark, and then skinny. And we met one room. Room is very ugly, restaurant, not nice. Here it's very nice, isn't it? Even Korea is very nice. How many people? 500 people North, 500 people South Korea, 1,000 people. But room is...
So you guys were crowded together?
Yeah, just like this. We met there. He didn't say anything. Just he looked at me, he looked at my sister, he looked at something like that. Because he was sick, he asked Korean word, 네가 막내냐? 막내 means last children. 그래서 나보고 컸다. You are tall. He thought he's still I'm 10 years old. Yeah, and then he cried. But he didn't say anything because they are watching.
Quietly, they sat, staring at each other. So many years had passed. It was good to see him again, but heartbreaking to have to leave him behind in a country that had been very harsh due to the self-imposed isolationism of North Korea. Upon leaving, Ki Young-ah knew she would never again see or hear from her brother.
Only loved everything. I never get mad.
She leads with love.
They always say, I, Nephi, being born of goodly parents. I, Rachel, being born of goodly parents. Good parents. Not perfect, but good parents.
And who needs perfection when you have each other?
Chopstick, not chopchae.
Chopstick, okay. And always
was so
Rachel
bossy
and Eric. Rachel
played
Eric
game.
activity,
Did they have this marriage of passion? Probably not. But did they have a marriage of devotion to family? Absolutely. And my father is definitely more faith-based than my mom. My mom just kind of goes along with it. But they are united in one thing, and that's just love of children. It's a little suffocating at times, but we know that they love us and they'll do anything for us.
I think they've always done the best that they could do, and I'll always be grateful to them. Just the fact that they tried so hard and sacrificed so much for us, sacrificed a lot of their discomfort for our benefit, and they always worked so hard for us. And I don't know if you know that when you're younger, but I'm glad that I figured it out as I've gotten older. And I always appreciate my parents for making that sacrifice and for us.
How great thou art, how great thou art.
In their home, you could always hear singing.
My Savior God to thee.
And feel the Spirit.
With our president, he wrote that a very simple sentence, very influential to me. God in heaven created us and send us to the world, but He sent us with us Jesus Christ before us, and He will help us all things. And that's a short sentence, but He was a great teaching in it, because that's how God created us. What Jesus Christ role, and I could learn the God's role and the Jesus Christ role, and what the Jesus Christ do for us, and that helps me all the time to me. Yeah, that's what I have, my testimony, that who is Jesus Christ, who is God, who created us, and that short sentence taught me great things. And that is simple words, but that is my testimony.